Welcome to the third video in our Healthy Retail Strategies series. Once again, you can read through the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene's mission and vision statements here. Healthy retail directly aligns with our mission since nutrition is integral to health, particularly in chronic disease prevention, since diets high in sodium, calories, saturated and trans fats have been associated with conditions like obesity, hypertension, and type 2 diabetes. By addressing worksite nutrition, the Prevention and Health Promotion Administration is improving health and well-being for employees across the state of Maryland. This video will focus on place interventions. After watching this video, viewers will be able to identify various types of place interventions that facilitate consumer behavior change and understand how these interventions can be implemented with a policy. When we're talking about place, we're discussing the physical location at which products are made available to the consumer. And while that may seem like a simple and obvious definition, I hope its implication in healthy retail will become apparent through this video. Placement can be as simple as relative propositions such as above, below, left, right, front, behind, exterior, interior, but it can also be more specific to the store layout, such as at the entrance or at the point of purchase. It can also be specific to consumers, such as at eye level or within arm's reach. Here is an overview of 4 factors that explain how place may affect purchasing behavior among consumers. These terms were borrowed from a report by Feeding America titled The Power of Nudges, Making the Healthy Choice the Easy Choice in Food Pantries. The report discusses an experiment conducted within a food pantry to assess how subtle changes, or nudges, affected the take rate of healthy items, which the researchers called foods to encourage. They classify the nudges into distinct categories, so these are 4 of those categories that describe placement. The first is order, which describes where items are located relative to each other. The second is convenience, which describes how easily items can be seen and obtained. And next is abundance, referring to how plentiful items appear, which occurs in 2 ways, either by more frequent stocking of the item, or giving the illusion of abundance through decreasing the space around them. Lastly, exposure frequency is how many opportunities a consumer has within a space to encounter an item. All 4 of these factors were manipulated in the food pantry study and positively affected the take rate of foods to encourage. As I did in the product strategy webinar, I'm going to show examples of potential placement strategies using a tiered system to differentiate between good approaches, better approaches, and the best approaches. At the bronze level, I present 2 interventions. The first is to place healthier foods at both the point of entry as well as the point of purchase. In doing so, healthier foods become simultaneously one of the first and last items the consumer will encounter from entry to checkout. This is a clear example of leveraging exposure frequency to encourage consumption. In the food pantry study, multiple exposures of whole wheat bread led to a 90% increase in the likelihood that a client took at least 1 loaf. Additionally, the total number of loaves of whole wheat bread taken increased by 160%. Another idea is to rearrange items such that healthier options are easier to reach or at eye level. This makes items more convenient for the consumer to notice and grab. In the food pantry study, cabbages were placed on a platform, elevating them to a height that made them easier to grab. In addition, a front flap was removed from the container. The combination of these activities led to a 27% increase in the likelihood of a client taking at least 1 cabbage, and the total amount of cabbages taken increased by 60%. Taking it one step further, here are some even better interventions that target placement. We can rearrange items such that healthy options are towards the front of display cases, tables, or serving lines. On this slide, you can see a diagram of a buffet line showing the direction of the flow of guests. The food arrangement can be altered in a way that places healthier items such as fruits, vegetables, or a yogurt and granola bar, for example, at the front of the line. As patrons take these items, they will have less room on their plate for the less healthy items, such as pastries, placed near the end of the line. Another seemingly simple, yet effective and low-cost strategy is to place healthier items within attractive containers, such as wicker baskets or colorful bowls. This speaks to the old adage of we eat with our eyes. Presentation matters a lot in whether or not we take food, so creating attractive displays helps the foods stand out. Next, we can allocate more shelf space to healthy items and stock more frequently. This speaks to the concept of abundance, which makes food seem more appealing by enhancing the perception that it is plentiful. Many times in grab-and-go style food retail outlets, items are arranged in an orderly fashion, with labels facing outwards and items as far forward on the shelves as possible. As these items are taken by consumers, the arrangement tends to become disrupted, with labels getting turned away from the front and items appearing farther away as the ones from the front get taken. This disturbance in display tends to create hesitance on the part of the consumer to take the item, since there is something off about the food and its arrangement. Therefore, it would benefit the retailer to regularly check on the shelves throughout the day and restock more frequently to help preserve the concept of abundance. The last silver level strategy for placement is to decrease the size of containers, which again plays into this idea of abundance is attractive. You'll notice that, on the left image, the larger red bowl makes the fruit within it appear scarce. However, when we take the exact same amount of fruit and place it in the smaller blue bowl on the right, the fruit appears to be overflowing, as if it were inviting consumers to take a piece of fruit because there are so many. At the gold level, I offer two potential strategies. The first step is to implement all the aforementioned bronze and gold level strategies. The beauty of placement interventions is that they are possible to implement at little to no cost. The biggest resource in implementing changes in physical location is the time and energy it takes to rearrange the products. Money may be required to change displays, for example, purchasing new containers. However, this would only be a small cost to the retailer. Therefore, implementing multiple placement strategies is highly affordable and will likely make an even bigger impact than implementing only one at a time. And, as I discussed in the product intervention webinar, making product placement changes permanent in policies is the best way to make these changes enforceable and sustainable. Here are a couple considerations for individuals considering drafting a placement policy. First, use specific but uncomplicated language to clarify where a product should be, such as at eye level, closest to selection buttons on a vending machine, or in front of a display or serving line. You may also want to include a sample diagram that retailers use to visualize what a store layout would look like. This serves as a sort of blueprint for product placement. Here is an example of a beverage vending machine diagram that comes from the Healthy Eating Advisory Service. The types of beverages are arranged in a grid format where the green beverages are the healthiest, the red beverages are the least healthy, and the orange fall somewhere in the middle. This type of classification system will be discussed in more detail in the promotion intervention video. According to this diagram, the beverages offered in the vending machines are sorted by degree of healthiness, with the green beverages at eye level and closest to the selection buttons, which are on the left of the sample vending machine. The red drinks, by contrast, are to the lower right, farthest away from the selection buttons where the consumer is going to stand when making their selections. Now I'll offer some examples of what placement policies look like. Here's a very simple, clear-cut policy from the Santa Clara County Nutrition Standards that states healthier beverages should be as prominent and easy to see as other popular beverages. This is a key detail in that these items are given equal, but not necessarily more, favorable placement over higher selling items. This would be useful to show to a business owner whose highest selling beverages may not be the healthiest, and is afraid of losing profits on these items if their placement is shifted in a disadvantageous way. Here's yet another example from the National Alliance for Nutrition and Activity Model Vending Guidelines, which goes a step further than the last example by stating beverages and foods compliant with nutrition standards should be as or more visible than similar items, and offers eye level as an example. That small addition of or more visible acts as a nudge to the policy enforcer to potentially give healthier items more favorable placement than unhealthy items. In this last example from Get Healthy Philly, it explicitly states that healthy beverages and snacks must be placed in positions with the highest selling potential, while sugar-sweetened beverages and other snacks must occupy the lowest selling potential. A business owner highly invested in health may be amenable to these changes. Those may be met with some resistance among other business owners. Again, carefully consider what type of policy would be most feasible based on the environment and the stakeholders involved. In conclusion, place interventions are low-cost alternatives to implementing healthy retail without necessarily changing product offerings. The key to any place intervention is to make the healthy choice the easy choice for consumers. Thank you. Watch the next video to learn about promotion interventions. For more information, please direct questions to DHMH Healthiest Maryland at maryland.gov or call the HMB State Coordinator at 410-767-5079.